before he opened the gates. And Sasuke's just like dodging all of it, like point blank running up to the sand.
But hold on. I feel like people don't talk about this part enough. He learned from Lee's mistakes, right? So it's like, okay, Goku and Vegeta fighting Hit, right? So Vegeta fought Hit first and got washed, right? But Goku was learning from his mistakes. He was learning from Vegeta's mistakes. So when he fought Hit, the outcome was different, right? I feel like nobody talks about this. Sasuke was watching Lee fight Gaara. So he was clearly learning from his mistakes on what to do and how to do it. So he basically had a whole lot of prep time to even fight Gaara.
Yeah. What you mean that you gangsta? I ain't seen shit. I don't like nice girls, I want a mean bitch. Still throw it back and she cook and she clean, bitch. Hit him and I put her straight to sleep, I got lean dick. 4G autos on the coupe, hoes love the whip. 42 in my cup, bitch, I love the sip. I just ate a stroom out my pocket, bitch, I love the trip. Don't do GA, I'm popping, bitch, I love the VIP. Rose gold Prezi.
What's good, Samurai Gang? Hey, listen, I just woke up, I don't have that much energy, but what I can say is that Seth dropped the new videos. It's been a hot minute since he dropped the video, so yeah, we on it. Sasuke versus Rock Lee. Who would have won? I'm going with Lee because he was the more experienced fighter, right? And plus his taijutsu is unmatched at this point in terms of the competition at in his age group. Sasuke wasn't like super advanced with his Sharingan. He had like two Tomo, and Lee kind of just bypassed all of that if I remember correctly. So I would have said Rock Lee would have taken it, especially if he used 8 gates. He would have taken it. So I don't know, like I feel like Naruto's kind of inconsistent with his writing at times. Because the Sharingan doesn't copy jutsus anymore. Like we haven't seen like a Sharingan copy of jutsu in a hot minute since part 1. Part 2, early part 2, we haven't seen that in a minute. I think the last time I seen somebody copy jutsu is when Kakashi copied Naruto's Rasengan. That's pretty much the last time I seen somebody do it. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, smash that like button for your boy, and let's check this out. And comment down below what you guys think, like who you think would have won. I say Lee. Some people is gonna be tards and be like, oh, Sasuke for Sharingan and whatnot, because y'all can't follow directions. Anyway, let's start it.
Everyone, it's your host, Seth Rogan. And with me today, I have my good old pal, Swag Kage. And
Hello again, everybody.
And we are going to be talking about...
They're like Dion and Rom style for the power scaling community. I'm not gonna even cap.
Rock Lee versus Sasuke from the Chunin exam. So, this is actually a pretty popular topic, but I've never done it. So, I don't know. I was just like...
I mean, are they gonna base it off that one little fight? Because that one little fight, from what I've seen, because Lee was clearly fighting over Sakura. You feel me? Sasuke didn't give a fuck. You know what's also crazy? They tried to paint this picture in Shippuden that Naruto and Sasuke, yeah, they didn't like each other, but they were close friends. If I remember correctly, in part 1, bro, they did never look like friends, bro. They never looked like friends. They never looked like they were close at all. They never looked like they were close at all. So that's what's also funny to me. So when they show me shit like in Shippuden, so I'm like, bro, what are we talking about? I don't remember this happening. But yeah, like from that little squabble that they had, I would have taken Lee because of the simple fact that Sasuke's Sharingan wasn't advanced. I don't think at that point he had Chidori either. So it's like, But based off their 2 fights, I guess we're gonna use this. We're gonna use it based off their 2 fights with Gaara, who did better. I say the more impressive was Lee to me, But then Sasuke was like, he was calm, cool, collected. He didn't use any moves that were life-threatening to him, you know? And then when he got that Chidori, it was pretty much, you know, he was hurting Gaara and whatnot. He irritated him too, so it's like, who would have done better? I mean, Lee got his leg broken, right? If I remember correctly. He got his leg broken by Gaara. Sasuke would have never fought a full origin like a full version of the One Tails by his Dolly. He wouldn't have done that, but Naruto sure as hell did. Let's see.
I was just like, why not? Let's go. You know? So, before we get into that, though, we do have I said done.
What the fuck was that?
Never done it, so I don't know. I was just like, why not? Let's go. You know? So, before we get into that, though,
did I just see go? Wait, you try to toss that in? Okay.
We do have I said no. Today, I
believe they can't really fight at any point throughout the tuning exams without it being a total stomp. So we should clarify that this is going to be like special, you know, special rules type deal. Because in the preliminaries, Sasuke was fatigued, basically about to collapse, couldn't use any ninjutsu or anything because of the effects of the curse mark. And in the
I forgot he had that curse mark, like the curse mark amp. I forgot all about that. Like, that shit was really fucking with him. I forgot all about that. So if that, like, I feel like Lee would have still won. But if we're talking like he controls it better, he controls the curse mark better, then I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, so he probably have like a chance. I'm not. It's a lot of effects that's going. Like, it's a lot of scenarios that's going into it.
Tuning exam finals, Lee was crippled. So in either situation, really, and plus, you know, pre-training Sasuke.
I'm not gonna sit there and say that like, oh, Sasuke's gonna cripple Lee. Hell no. But if we're talking about like after, like he trained with Kakashi and learned the Chidori, I'm like, alright, okay, it could be different. He's still not used to Chidori, but like he knows how to do it now, you know?
He probably wouldn't, like, even if you get rid of the exhaustion, probably wouldn't be able to stand up to Lee anyway. So we are going to be saying that assume that Lee beat Gaara and made it to the finals of the Chunin exams, and Sasuke is fighting Lee in Gaara's place.
And assume Lee.
Oh! If it's like that, I'm going Lee, my nigga. Lee's gonna box that little nigga up. Gonna box his ass up. Not because I like the fact that he actually just throw hands. He really throws hands with you. But the more popular answer that I'm gonna see in the comment section, because I have a bunch of 8-year-olds telling me that, oh, Sasuke stomps Lee without a question. Okay, kid.
He didn't break all his muscles and bones, like kicking with the gates or something.
Yeah. So this isn't gonna surprise too many people. Me personally, I'm backing Sasuke, though I do think that there are some like legit ways that you can claim that Lee wins. Like, if you don't think that Sasuke has the durability to take that hit.
I don't think he has the durability to take hits from. At that point in time, I don't think he has the durability to take hits from this version of Lee. I don't think he does.
Hidden Lotus beat down.
The ping pong attack.
Yeah. What defense will Sasuke have to like protect him from this? Because Gaara had sand to protect him, so that actually softened the blows. So you tell me at that point, how does Sasuke defend against that? Because it's gonna be a point where I feel like Lee's gonna move way too fast for that version of his Sharingan. You know, so it's like.
Yeah.
It's like a Dragon Ball barrage.
Jumping off of all of the walls and like. Granted, this would be significantly more difficult in the Chunin exam finals arena because the walls are spread out a lot more and Lee wouldn't be able to jump off the ceiling. So maybe he wouldn't, but I'm sure he'd figure something out, so that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
But if you don't think Sasuke could survive something like that, followed by a Hidden Lotus, then yeah, Lee probably does win.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
It's established that at this point, Sasuke's speed is pretty close to, if not the same as, weightless Lee's. If you want, you can probably assume, since it's Lee's speed, like it's Lee's
Like he copied him. Like he like like I remember that, like Sasuke at that point was trying to like, okay, so I watched Lee do this, so the only difference is I just gotta, since I'm on Uchiha, I'm gonna just copy almost everything that you do, kind of like a Jordan and Kobe situation, and just, you know, beat your ass without the 8 gates, without the 8 gates. So my thing is this: if the Sharingan was able to copy almost any jutsu, right? How come it didn't copy the 8 gates? Like, how come it doesn't do that?
own speed, you know, like he achieved it himself or whatever,
Right.
that he's a little bit faster than Sasuke. You could also argue that since Sasuke copied it at an earlier point and then continued to train, he might be a little bit faster. The point is, the difference is probably marginal, and it could go either way, so I don't think that affects too much, so we can probably just
And,
assume that
well,
they're even.
here's one thing at least with the speed, is that regardless of Sasuke kind of reaching that speed level, he has like a stamina problem
Yeah.
using that speed or something.
Yeah.
So he, even if he is relative, it would, if they were just to have a race or something, you know, down the track, Lee would probably win over time. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And the other thing too is that Sasuke can't open the gates, which Lee can.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody needs us to tell them the gates are a massive physical amp. Obviously, Lee gets way faster.
Yeah, I don't see him beating this. Like, on top of Sasuke not having a lot of stamina, and Lee has a lot more stamina than Sasuke, and then if he was to release this, and Sasuke only has like, what, 1 tomo in the right eye, 2 tomo in the left eye, it's like, okay, how are you going to win? Exactly. How exactly are you going to win? Like, how?
Each time he opens a new one, by the time he opens the 4th, like he did against Gaara, there'd be no way for Sasuke to keep up. So it's kind of just a question of, do you think A, Lee would do it against Sasuke before losing, and B, do you think Sasuke could survive all those hits? The issue that Lee runs into is Sasuke fought a much more powerful version of Gaara and kind of performed like similarly to Lee. Like, Lee's performance against base Gaara was pretty impressive, and you know, he was knocking him around and stuff, but he didn't actually damage Gaara. He was just breaking off the sand armor, but Gaara himself wasn't really injured like at all. Whereas Sasuke just tore straight through Gaara's little like nuclear bunker that he made out of sand,
Right.
and that's implied to be like his ultimate shield, and made Gaara start bleeding. So he was definitely.
I mean, he was alright. Like, okay, I hate when people, like, the phrasing of words actually matters. Like, okay, he was alright. At most, if I remember correctly, he irritated him. Not so, I mean, yeah, you hurt him a little bit, okay, cool. But we all know the real fight, how the real fight happened. Feel me? We all know with Naruto and Gaara, feel me? Naruto with Kyuubi chakra all around him. You remember that? Yeah, we remember that. Yeah, we remember that? Yeah. Like, that was the most powerful version of Gaara at that time. Naruto fought, right? So, I guess he went in stages. Lee versus base Gaara. Slightly stronger Gaara versus Sasuke, and the strongest version of Gaara versus Naruto. Feel me?
Like above base Gaara, and it was only when Gaara went into his like Shukaku form that Sasuke started struggling, and even then he was able to damage Gaara, which, you know, if you assume that Shukaku mode Gaara
Oh yeah, he had 2 tomo in both eyes. Okay.
is any stronger than base Gaara is, Lee wouldn't be able to do something like that. So Sasuke's AP should be higher than Lee's, which should mean that like if he hits Lee with Chidori, for example, Lee is going to just like collapse on the spot.
Which I assume most people would think anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but that's if he hits him with it. Like, he's gonna need time to do that. Feel me? He can't repeatedly spam it at this point, like how he does when he's older. He can't repeatedly spam it. So, like, the chance of, like, in what scenario will Sasuke hit Lee in his 8 Gates form, the Gates form? Like, what is the chances of him actually hitting him with it if he's faster than Sasuke, especially in that form?
Yeah. I again, that's another thing I don't think anybody needs us to tell them.
Yeah.
So I guess the fight comes down to
My son got a romper on.
Sasuke would hit Lee with
Yeah.
Chidori before Lee opens the gates and hits him.
I doubt it.
But that's only if you think that 4th Gate Lee would beat Sasuke.
Yeah, I feel like he would wash him.
What do you
Not gonna
think?
lie to you.
So, keeping this still on a more grounded, rational level before we get really edgy.
Yeah, and then you have a bunch of tards talking about Sasuke clearly stomps in the comment section. Yeah, okay, bro. Like, you have more knowledge on Naruto than I, but you said something completely stupid, but okay.
Power scaly. Just on a rational level, I just want you to just imagine how the fights went in both of these scenes. So, you have Rock Lee fight Gaara without his weights. He's pummeling him, he's beating him up, and then, Gaara's getting flung around. His shield can barely keep up with him. He can't keep up with Lee's movements with his eyes, but his shield barely is behind him, his automatic shield. And then Sasuke is kind of doing the same thing, similar level of speed, give or take, right? He's having like
So I'm heading around the Bay Area to check in on some local small businesses.
barrages of Lee as he's punching Gaara around. But something that's different about Sasuke
And he's doing all of this with a romper on.
than Lee is that Sasuke seems to punch harder than Lee, which is something a lot of people don't talk about, because when Sasuke starts landing these combos, Gaara starts to not really be able to get up. And there's one scene where he's just sitting on the ground huffing and puffing and he can't even move. And then I just want you to watch the Rock Lee fight, and when did Rock Lee ever do that? And then
Okay.
you just say to yourself, well, maybe Gaara's having a mental breakdown, and this is where we kind of get into, the data books and all this whatever. But in the data books, it does kind of explain the scene a little bit more, and it says Gaara, faced with his strongest opponent, wanted to be possessed by Shukaku because he felt like he couldn't do anything to Sasuke. And that's what the orb was. So he hides away in his orb, and then Sasuke just rips through it. His ultimate defense maneuver just rips through it. And it's crazy because it wasn't Sharingan, Curse Mark, or Chidori that put Gaara in that mindset of just
It was just base
almost
Sasuke.
fear.
Yeah, it was a punch.
It was just Sasuke just bullying him with punches and kicks. So my headcanon was always, so while Sasuke's physical speed reached Lee's, perhaps, Sasuke's chakra control or something maybe just allowed him to hit harder or something of the sort, and that's why he's able to output more damage. Because in all of these data books or whatever you read, they're like, yeah, Sasuke's the strongest opponent Gaara's ever fought. There's even this new...
Is he really? Is he really the strongest he fought? Because I recall that fight between Shiaku, or however you pronounce the One Tail's name. He fought Naruto. That was the strongest version of Gaara, I believe, at that time. And Naruto, when he released that Nine-Tail Fox chakra, was built differently.
animation guide that says the confrontation between the best of the sand and leaves begin when Sasuke appears in the ring after training with Kakashi. He's about to fight Gaara, but that's never stated for Neji, it's never stated for 5th Gate Lee or anything. So getting real edgy, it's like you might be able to argue Sasuke's punching harder than 5th Gate Lee. He's just not as fast or something. But that's really, really just edgy. I don't expect people to really believe it. Like maybe if you're a debater, you probably are more open to that. But normal people, I don't expect to. But I will open something up like this for normal people as well. Something I want to open up is, if you remember the scene with Gaara that actually allowed him to kind of survive the fifth gate, you know, kind of hurting him too badly. Like, it was, Rock Lee had like a moment where he got a shot of pain up his arm, and then Gaara made a sand clone or something, and Guy didn't see because he was praying. And I just want you to imagine if base Gaara can do all of that with just Rock Lee having a moment snap of pain. Would it be possible to argue that maybe the Sharingan, which can maybe just see a few actions in the future, might also be able to increase his reaction speed to the point where he might be able to perceive that enough to do something about it? Because base Gaara is significantly slower than Sasuke to begin with, and then you give Sasuke kind of precog almost, and
that's so I actually just looked at the Sasuke Gaara fight again. And for some reason, I was under the impression that Sasuke started the fight with the Sharingan. But yeah, he actually puts the schmack down on Gaara with no Sharingan active or anything. He's avoiding the sand with no precog. And yeah, if you give him a Sharingan amp on top of that,
exactly,
I think it is pretty fair to argue. Now, you could argue both ways about this. Again, if you're not like super edgy debater scaler man, but it would be
because I'm clearly not super debatey edgy scaler man, but there's a few people on this channel that are.
Fair to argue one way or another that with the Sharingan, Sasuke might actually be able to react and react to and avoid fourth gate Lee, at least maybe like third gate. I don't know, because like the physical buffs provided by each of the gates, especially at this point, aren't thoroughly explained. It's just like third is stronger than second,
exactly.
Fourth is stronger than third, fifth is stronger than that. So it's kind of like an unquantifiable increase in strength and speed and so on. But what I will say is that Gaara's sand was still sort of relative to Lee's speed when he took off.
It's just that Gaara himself wasn't, like, if he didn't have that sand shield, he would have been finished, to be honest, and that's a fact.
Waits before he
exactly,
before he opened the gates, and Sasuke's just like dodging all of it, like point blank running up to the sand.
But hold on, I feel like people don't talk about this part enough. He learned from Lee's mistakes, right? So it's like, okay, Goku and Vegeta are fighting Hit, right? So Vegeta fought Hit first and got washed, right? But Goku was learning from his mistakes. He was learning from Vegeta's mistakes. So when he fought Hit, the outcome was different, right? I feel like nobody talks about this. Sasuke was watching Lee fight Gaara. So he was clearly learning from his mistakes on what to do and how to do it. So he basically had a whole lot of prep time to even fight Gaara. He said, okay, so if I do this, train this way with Kakashi, I'm gonna beat this nigga's ass. So I feel like that's another thing that Seth and Swag are forgetting about this whole entire situation. Prep time. Sasuke had prep time and learned from Lee's mistakes. Lee was Vegeta and got his ass washed, but he was doing really good against Gaara. We're not gonna cap, right? I feel like that's the most important thing about this. I'm not sure if they're gonna talk about that part, but if you have a brain, you'll realize that, okay, one had prep time, the other didn't. So of course, the one who had prep time against Gaara is gonna do better, right? That makes sense.
And barrier, avoiding all of these spikes coming out of it. He does get cut a little bit, but like, you know, and then when he activates his Sharingan, obviously he doesn't get hit by any of them. So I don't know. There may actually be an argument for Sasuke in here,
right?
After all.
Hey, I say this: if Sasuke did not have prep time, so switch Lee, right? Switch Lee from when Lee fought Gaara the first time, and put Sasuke there, and let Sasuke fight Gara, right? And have Lee watch, right? If the roles were switched, how much you want to bet Lee will be much stronger, right? When fighting Gara in the Chunin exams finals, right? He'll be way much stronger, right? Because he'll have time to train. Sasuke probably will be injured in the hospital. No cap. Because he don't got Chidori. So how is Sasuke going to fight Gara with no prep time and no Chidori? Like, let's think about that for a little bit. Let's think about that for a little bit, all right? That's one thing. That's one thing that could toss the whole argument out the window. Prep time.
In terms of speed, but not in terms of physical movement speed, obviously, because again, based on statements, pretty clear cut that Lee is faster, but the Sharingan might give him the reaction speed necessary.
I'm surprised nobody's even talking about the prep time. I'm gonna keep saying this. If you made it this far in the video, then you should know, like, if one has prep time versus the other one who didn't, the one who didn't is not gonna do better. That's everybody. Literally, I gave you one great ass example that everybody could agree on. Vegeta versus Hit, then Goku versus Hit. Who did better? Clearly Goku did, because he had prep time and learned from Vegeta's mistakes. It's the same thing that applies, feel me? It's the same thing applies. If you if the roles were switched and Goku fought Hit the first time and Vegeta learned from Goku's mistakes, Vegeta's gonna do better. It's kind of like the same thing with Granola, feel me? You have Goku fighting Granola for the very first time before Vegeta, right? Goku got his ass washed. Vegeta got this new transformation and shit. He's fighting Granola now. Beating his ass. It's really the same thing. It's about learning the personnel of that person, bro. And it applies.
Great to avoid any potentially lethal blows.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking as well. So, I don't know, and maybe we can just pull a narrative argument here, because that's what I think these data books are actually saying, is more of a narrative argument that, they're almost looking at it just generic shonen, escalation almost, maybe not so much from the average fan who sees everyone as like a squishy ninja who gets like cut and everything, So they're like, okay, so Lee fought, base Gaara, gave him a great fight after powering up, and now Sasuke is kind of the avenger of Lee.
Yeah, with the prep time. He has prep time. Like, I feel like the prep time.
He kind of beats up that same Gaara, and then he has to fight a stronger Gaara, and that's when Sasuke starts using his fail-safes. So that's why Sasuke is the strongest opponent of Gaara, right? Because he's the one who pushes Gaara the furthest and makes him fear him the most, even though 5th Gate and 4th Gate were going all out to the point that Lee's body was absolutely failing against, Gaara. So that's what I think the story is trying to present, and all of these data books and, the story itself really shows it. But I don't blame people. Like, when you watch Lee fight Gaara and he's teleporting around like a Dragon Ball character, like, when does Sasuke ever do that? Like, ever? Like, when does he ever he's teleporting around like if you were to put like Vegito in like this tournament, like that.
Don't do it. Don't do it. That's a stretch. Like, even if it's an example, you said Vegito, this nigga is destroying the entire universe, my nigga. Don't do that. That nigga will sit there and sword slash the fuck out these kids, bro. That's not fair. Don't do that. You should have used Gotenks. And even then, Gotenks would, what? That nigga would ghost bomb these niggas and they have no answer for that nigga.
That's what you would imagine. Like, he would just start disappearing and ping-ponging people. So I really don't blame people for thinking that Lee looks way more impressive. And I definitely agree. And I would just go out on a limb and say that Kishimoto kind of just failed portraying that Sasuke should be stronger, and didn't seem to realize that he needed to show equally as impressive, like physical shock waves or whatever as well,
What I will say is I also think that this is an issue exacerbated by the anime's presentation of Lee versus Gaara, because Lee is still teleporting around and stuff and moving at an extremely high speed in the manga, but I don't think it's as, like, exaggerated. And
I mean, I don't think you could exaggerate it to that detail, like the anime versus the manga. I don't think you could exaggerate it because it's not one is moving, the other one is just still images. Like, it's impossible. Feel me? it don't even look like in the manga versus the anime. It's gonna always look way more impressive in the anime if they animate it. It's gonna look way more impressive. You could do so much more with it.
Sasuke's movements are like there's just kind of like speed lines at a lot of points throughout the Gaara fight to illustrate that it's basically impossible for anybody to follow him. So I agree with what you're saying to an extent, and I think that it's definitely like the issue becomes a lot worse too when you consider that most people remember that Gaara Lee fight and the Sasuke Gaara fight from the anime, not from the manga, where it's a little bit different.
Exactly. Well, regardless of that, I do think that's pretty much everything we needed to say.
Yep.
Sasuke should take it, just narratively, just edgily, just really almost any way you put it. But if you do think Rock Lee just goes Dragon Ball teleportation mode and Sasuke is kind of a squishy ninja man and gets pummeled down, then yeah, Lee would take it. But anyways, thank you so much, Slag, for joining me.
Alright, so from this, like I said, around the 20-minute mark, the 25-minute mark, if you made it this far, I feel like prep time is heavily, like, from what I've seen, one has prep time and the other one didn't. You know, you already know how that's gonna happen, bro. You already know how that's gonna happen. I don't need to explain to you guys how that works. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a like on the video if you want more collabs videos like this. Yeah. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this on the channel. I think I said that twice in the same sentence, but it is what it is, y'all. We'll see you in the next video. If you want more videos like this, we out.